As you begin creating documents in Photoshop, there are going to be times where you might make a mistake and you'll want to undo those actions. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So as we begin working on different documents, you'll have the ability to back up if you make any of those mistakes. So I have this image pulled up here. It's called mistake.jpg, and you can go ahead and download that and open it up. It's a resource file for you available to use if you want to follow along, or you can just open up a new document and follow along. I'm going to go ahead and select the brush tool. I have it selected here, and make sure that I just have a black swatch. And the 13 size is okay. We don't need to change any of that. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a 1, a 2, and a 3. Now forgive my handwriting, I am doing this with a mouse so it doesn't look exactly all that great, but it'll get the point across. Now if I made this third design and I wanted to undo that action, I could go up to the edit in the menu bar and select undo brush tool. And you'll see that there is a shortcut of Control plus Z or Command plus Z if you're on macOS. So I can undo that action and it'll take it away from me, and then I can continue working as need be. If I want to bring that back, I can go back up to Edit and I can redo the brush tool. And this time you see that it's actually the same shortcut to do that. So if I select it, it'll bring that 3 back. Now this is different than other programs where if you hit Control Z or Command Z multiple times, it will keep undoing. In Photoshop CC, if you hit Control Z once, it'll undo, and then when you hit it again, it will redo. So I'll demonstrate that. If I hit Control Z, it goes away, and then if I hit Control Z, it comes back, and then if I hit Control Z, it goes away again. Now, at first, this is counterintuitive to other programs. However, it makes a lot of sense when you're doing a lot of edits, and you want to go back and forth between those edits to see if they're working or not working. So how do we go back and say we get rid of the 3 and 2 we want to keep undoing? Well, we can go up to Edit, and you can see that there's a step forward and a step backwards. This is actually what's going to allow you to undo multiple times or redo multiple times. On here, the step forward for PC is going to be Shift Control plus Z. And on the macOS, it would be Shift plus Command plus Z. To step backwards or to undo, on PC it's going to be Alt Control plus Z, and on macOS it would be Option plus Command plus Z. So I'll go ahead and hit step backwards, and you can see it works just like an undo. And then if I use that shortcut key, Control Alt Z or Command Option Z, it will go back again, and then I can do that a third time. Same as stepping forward, I can do Shift Control Z or Shift Command Z, and it'll step forward. And what's happening is Adobe Photoshop is actually keeping a history of all the actions that you make. And we can actually see that. It's one of the panels that we saw earlier when we looked at the panel section. It's called the History panel. If I hit the double arrows, it'll open that panel up. And here we can see our History panel. And if you're not seeing that or you've changed your layout, you can of course go up to Window and select History, and it'll bring it up. Here we have a history of all the actions that we made. So if we click on Open, it's going to go back to that first action. And then the next thing we did is a brush tool stroke, which was the 1, and then a second brush tool stroke, which was the 2, and a third, which was the 3. And this gives us a nice, easy way to come in here and see all the different actions that we've created, and we can step backwards and forward in time to see the changes that we have made. Now at the bottom, you're going to see a couple of buttons at the bottom of the History panel. One button is to duplicate the state with a new image. The second button is to create a snapshot of the history of what's going on. And the last one is to delete the current state that we have selected. So if we go ahead and click the first button, what's going to happen is it's going to take this image and all the adjustments that we've made, and it makes it into a new file. So if you look at the top, we have our mistake.jpg, but then we have the last state that we recorded, which was a brush tool when we made the 3, and it kept everything before that. So this is a quick and easy way to make different copies of your history as you're going along to check your work or make different types of duplicates for different things. I'm going to go ahead and exit that out. And then next we can create a snapshot, and instead of creating in a new image, what it'll do is it'll take a snapshot of the current state and it'll just add it to the top of the history. And now we can bounce back and forth. So we can take snapshots as we begin working on photos or graphics, and throughout the process we'll have a history of all the different edits that we've made that we can go back and look at. And then if we want to delete any of these, we can just highlight it and then hit the trash can, and it'll ask us if we want to delete that snapshot, and we can hit yes. So here we are back at the beginning. We can go to our open, and then we can go down the history and bring those back, or we can use our shortcut keys to move forward or backwards in the history. And then finally, all of these panels have little options with 3 lines on the right hand side. So if you click on that, you will see those options here: step forward, step backwards, new snapshot, delete. You can clear the history completely, create a new document, and then different options, and of course closing the panel or the tab groups. And all of those panels have those options on the side, so you want to check those out as we begin using these different panels also. So hopefully that explains to you how you can undo and step forward and step back. If you get lost on any of this at any point, just go to the edit in the menu bar, and those top selections are the ones that you're going to want to either undo or redo, or step forward and step backwards.